Hello and welcome to another edition of the Michigan Conservative Roundtable. It's Mac, TJ, and Bill today. And we're going to talk about the recent discussion of mass shootings, why they happen, why we think they happen, some of the things that lead to the things that cause these shootings, and how the media reacts to them. So we've always had guns, but we always haven't had mass shootings. So something else other than guns has changed. It's kind of our general opinion that it's the lack of morals in this country and the ridding of God in school and such things like that. You guys have a comment on that?
If I could interject.
Yeah, sure.
One of the things I've always felt is just a complete societal breakdown of morals, proper decorum. You know, you can go to the guys wearing the baggy pants, the guys playing the music loud as all get out with their windows down. It's
daring you to say anything about it.
Yeah, you know, total. Look how they're treating the cops nowadays, throwing the water on them. You know,
Yeah.
It's a complete societal breakdown. So
Absolutely. Bill?
Well, it's been, you talk about the cops, I'm an ex-cop, and that's one of the reasons I left police work and got into security is because there was no respect for the police. And I was in the police department in the late 70s, early 80s, and they were already starting to lose respect. Kids were talking back, I would have never dreamt to
did
talk
you see
back
what
to
they
a
were doing
police
to them in
officer.
New York?
Throwing water?
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm just saying, the stuff that would happen and the stuff that would be said to you, there was no respect for the police at all.
Right.
And you got to take it. You can't respect. It's only water. You know.
You're damn, well, another problem with being a police officer now is you're damned if you do, or you're damned if you don't.
Right.
And you have to make a split-second decision, or you could be dead,
Sure.
or somebody you're protecting could be dead, and you're held accountable for what you do, and you have to make a decision just like that. So
Yeah,
it's just
split
not right.
seconds, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I think it goes to the lack of two parents in the home. The dad's gone in a lot of places, particularly in the black community, where I think in the 50s there was a greater percentage of black fathers in the home than white fathers in the home. And now I think 80-some percent are fatherless. And I went to, I grew up in Detroit, so I went to school with a lot of black kids, and I would see this from black males all the time. You go to the school, you got the teacher's a woman, the principal's a woman. You come home, there's mom, sister, and auntie there. So you're constantly being told what to do by a woman. It's in the male nature to rebel against that at some point, or be disrespectful, I think, comes out of that. Now, it's not the case with everybody, of course, but so these kids are out on their own doing whatever they want because mom's got 9 boyfriends and 40 baby daddies, and the kids
or 7 other kids that she's got to keep track of and
right.
watch, so she can't watch all the kids.
Right.
It's impossible.
drug use is horrific.
Something that's always irritated me, and we'll just go back to the unfortunate events that occurred a couple weeks back now. But you had the Texas thing. They so badly want to blame it on Trump, and the Ohio thing. I almost feel like they're trying to figure out an angle on that too. But during that same time frame, over the course of that same weekend, I don't know the exact number, but like over 50 people were shot in Chicago, and 7 of them were killed in a 48-hour time span. Yet that got no news reporting whatsoever. They want to zero in on the two, we'll call them mass shootings. They want to zero in on the 2 mass shootings, and they want to totally ignore, I'll call them mass chaos in Chicago during that time frame. And it's just, I'm kind of curious how the liberal could even draw a distinction in all of that. I don't get it.
Well, because liberals are racist, and the far left are certainly racist. You probably figure, well, it's just blacks killing blacks, and that's what they do, so who cares? But, I think in people's minds, and it's only in their minds, it's worse when it's more people at one time. You might argue that, you shouldn't go to a movie or to church or to Walmart to get some baked beans and get shot. That shouldn't happen, but it's not worse. 20 at one time is not worse than 20 separately.
No, it's not.
And we've got a serious mental illness problem in this country, and the solution to it is not red flag laws. And I heard someone on might have been Dennis Prager said something about how red flag laws are almost always the red flags are afterwards. They're hindsight. Oh, I saw, Johnny said such and such and such and such, but they don't put it together until after the fact, and then they want to call it a red flag. Well, I mean, are we going to...
They're reactionary instead of precautionary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't see the problem, and you worked in security, and so have we. You get ahead of the problems. You make sure they don't happen to begin with. And we're not doing that in our society. But I don't see the red flag as the answer. Obviously, there are people, and the law already says that if you go to apply for a CPL in Michigan, it's going to ask you have you had any mental illness, so on and so forth. And
that's even on your typical firearm purchase now.
right. Yeah. So
I mean that's become part of the.
I think
part
what
of the check.
gets lost for these people too is that these guys are going to go in there to murder people. They don't give a damn about your laws.
Right.
And Sandy Hook, I think the guns were stolen. A few other instances, the guns were stolen. Were they not?
I'll on a couple of occasions.
Killed his mother, and then
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the killings are in gun-free zones too, where they know nobody in there's got a gun by law.
90%.
Yeah, right.
If you ever been to a gun range, and I know you fellas have, you're nothing more than that paper silhouette when they have a gun and you don't.
You mentioned the gun range, and I remember I was talking to an anti-gunner once, and I said to him, if guns were so evil, if guns so brought out the worst in people, why don't you see people shooting each other at the gun range? I mean, where are you going to find a larger density of loaded firearms with courtesy out the wazoo?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's because everyone's got a gun, Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they know everybody's got a gun. But the problem is most of these shooters go in areas where they know people don't have guns.
Sure.
Nobody's going to shoot back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But that goes to my point, though.
I think the president had said something in that shooting in the gay bar in Florida a couple of years ago. If somebody in the bar had a gun, it might have been different. And people thought, it wouldn't have made any difference. Well, first off, how do you know that? And you know from being a shooter, if you were standing here trying to shoot people and someone is shooting back at you, it makes you take cover. It makes you stop. It's going to make you not able to shoot people. Am I right?
Well, believe it or not, unless you hit the head, heart, or spinal column, you will live long enough to either shoot back or try to flee.
Well, what I
But
mean
you got to
is,
hit the head, heart, or spinal column.
what I mean
for
is,
one
if
shot
you're the guy who walks into the Walmart and you think you're unopposed, but then someone
yeah.
shoots back at you, you have to react to that person shooting at you, and it lets other people escape.
Well, I think too they're going to think twice before even going in to start shooting because somebody might shoot back.
Right.
Yeah, I think most
They're
of the time
cowards.
they know they're cowards, and they actually pick areas where they know. Well, I'm going to be unopposed.
Yeah.
Right. If they know they're going to be opposed, I'm not saying it would stop all of it, but it would stop a lot of it.
Sure.
I think because they don't want to, But these guys that or gals or whoever go in and shoot and then just let themselves be shot or kill themselves, that's not going to stop them because they go in knowing they're going to die anyway. They're just going to take as many people with them.
They're essentially kamikazes.
Right. Yes. Right. Exactly.
Or a suicide bomber.
Right.
He knows he's getting blown up. He knows his life is over, but he's going to do it because he thinks the cause is just.
Right.
I happened to watch this YouTube video the other day, and it was on abandoned buildings. And for some reason, I'm fascinated with these people who do these walkthroughs of these old abandoned places. And one of them was Cooley High in Detroit. And these two guys were astonished when they came across the gun range that was inside Cooley High. And they were like, oh my God, can you imagine? Oh, guns in the school. Oh. But what they don't seem to get the obvious thing. Yeah, there was a gun range in the school and no shootings. There were guns in the school and no shootings. They don't seem to connect the dots there. Gun bad. That's all they know. That's all they've been taught. I don't know. It's not a super complicated issue. I mean, we got to do something with these people who are out of their minds.
And a lot of it has to do with complete disregard for life, and you could just say in general. I mean, the disregard for life touches on so many issues. I mean, it touches on the abortion issue. It touches on people being courteous to each other, respecting each other. I'm offended, now I got to kill you. This group has offended me, so now there's got to be payback. Just a complete breakdown of disrespect for life.
Well, you see that in the Middle East, where you have these feuds going on for 1,000 years, and somebody has to avenge someone that they didn't even know or never even heard of.
Yeah.
And that just goes on and on.
Well, the other thing too is we talked about earlier is I think desensitizing. Our kids are desensitized to a lot. So I just heard a study though on the radio yesterday, the day before, saying that they can't find any cooperation between watching these video games, these violent video games, and where they're shooting and blowing, and you see people getting splattered all over the place,
Yeah.
and the kids think it's a game, and they watch it, and there's no consequences to it.
No.
So
You don't go
if
to
they do
prison.
tip over the end, and I'm not saying all of them do, but if they do tip over and become, totally desensitized, that when they do go in and shoot, it's no big deal to them to kill people.
Right.
It's because it's just the norm.
Well, you remember way back when Bill Clinton was president, Tipper Gore, the vice president's wife at the time, they're divorced now, but she had a campaign to get violence out of music and video games. And everybody laughed at her and said she was a right-wing religious fanatic, which is funny when you think about the Gores being right-wing. But,
Today they would be.
yeah. Well, I guess
Today, a lot of people that were Democrats back then would be considered.
Yeah,
right.
You got more and more
I think
moderate
if
Democrats
you watch the
getting
debates,
scared.
Obama's right winger.
Yeah, that's true. But, you could make the argument, I suppose. We could say, well, let's ban these video games so that the one or three guys don't do what they do, and the rest of the millions of people are punished for that. Same thing with the red flag law. The three of us aren't doing any of that. We're all gun owners. We're not. I've had a gun for 30 years. I've never taken it out of the holster, other than the range, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm not shooting people. It's like my spare tire in my car. I don't leave the house expecting to get a flat, but if I do, I'm prepared. That's just my mindset. Better to have and not need than to need and not have.
Right.
I don't want to be picking up a gallon of milk and scrambling for my life in the store and going up against a guy, with a rifle. Then you get the demonizing of weapons. The term assault rifle is garbage. Most of the country thinks AR stands for assault rifle, which it doesn't, of course. It is. Do you remember what it's called?
I think that it was shortened for Armalite.
Armalite, yeah, that's what I thought too. I don't know where we go with this, guys. I don't know what the solution is. I know that making honest, law-abiding citizens defenseless won't help. Antifa will really run this country. Excuse me.
The only solution I really see is as you interact with people on a daily basis, you almost have to, on a one-on-one, persuade them, what do they call it, power of persuasion through speech or whatever that term is, where when you're on a one-on-one with a person, if you can just appeal to their logic and win them to your side, and then that has a residual effect at the ballot box, because until something like that happens, I don't know what can.
Well, that is what we're trying to do on this channel, in fact.
I just
What's knee-jerk reaction?
Yeah.
That's what's happening is people are knee-jerk react. They don't know the answer.
Right.
So the answer is let's take away the guns.
Right.
That's not the answer. We don't know what the answer. If we knew the answer, we'd be running for something. I mean,
Yeah.
if I knew I don't know the answer. I know a lot of issues that could lead up to this, but I don't know the answer or how to fix it, because just like it just said, one of the politicians just said, 99.9% of gun owners in this country would never do what is done out there. It's that 0.1% that's doing it, and it's like you say, it's not the gun doing it, it's the guy pulling the trigger that's doing it.
Well, that same 1.1% will drive their car into a crowd
Right.
on the street, or
Right, they'll
and
figure
that's
a way
a
to
hot
do it.
button issue of mine too, because they'll say, well, if it just saves one life, well, if it just saves, then don't drive your car. You know what? Don't get out of bed. If it just saves one
Well, on the
life,
red flag law, this is the analogy I like to use. Bill has a car. Bill drinks beer. Therefore, Bill could drink too much beer and drive his car and kill someone, so we got to take Bill's car, just to be safe.
Yeah.
Or we outlaw beer,
Well,
like they did in the
we
30s.
did that once
Yeah, we did.
already.
It didn't
and,
work. Yeah.
We've outlawed heroin and
Yeah,
candy.
yeah.
And that's another joke about this, is that people think that you're ever going to confiscate all the guns. You're just putting a new menu item for the drug cartels in Mexico
Yeah, black market.
Yeah, for a black market. And the people who want guns, which will be criminals, they'll get them. And they'll use them on us. They'll hunt us like in this upcoming movie. And you won't be able to do anything. I'm not too fast anymore, so
Yeah,
Me
right.
either.
Yeah.
I'm too young to die and too old to fight, so I want my weapons. You guys want to call us a wrap?
That's a wrap.
That's it.
All right, so as we like to say on the Michigan Conservative Roundtable, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.